All right. Here we are, and we might have missed out on a few things, but we're already 10 minutes into the game. Nothing too crazy going on. So, anyway, Metachef, how are you liking the view of the match so far?
10 minutes and 0-0. That's kind of crazy. Why so boring? What are we doing? The gold's dead
Yeah.
even. What's going on, guys? Come on, we need to we need to fight. Hit each other.
Yeah, need to fight, need to make something happen. But we did get the classic grub trade. We did get this classic, grub dragon trade more specifically. But in the meantime, these junglers are very much just farming up against each other as we're getting just trade after trade in the mid lane.
Yeah, Saruman getting a lot of poke there on Jacob. Maybe a kill soon. Maybe not.
A little bit wishful thinking at this point, but right now at the grubs we might be having a little bit more than just a little bit of wishful thinking.
Yeah, Rehurt getting a lot of damage on Retail Row. Gonna flash that knockup from the Talia. Now going into the Drowsy is this Talia. Gonna chase him down, but First Blood's gonna go over to the Varus. Measurable gets that kill on Rehurt. I thought Rehurt had a good play there, but I guess
Yeah,
not.
honestly, it was looking real good, but Measurable just kind of coming in right at the perfect time here. The lane swap's going to hurt a lot for Espada, but hurt a lot less for the rest of the team as a whole. I mean, Ornn's still going to be very relevant the later that the game goes on. There's really only so much advantage you can really get out of slamming the Lucian into that bot lane. So right now, Dorado, Gaming, Epsilon fallen behind a little bit. Not so much in terms of the gold, but as far as the feats go, that is a pretty big one.
What's weird is, I mean, I assume my HUD's not lying to me. They only took the one grub and they got out. So they take First Blood, they deny the feat stack from the grubs, and they deny 6 grubs. But they're focusing more on this dragon, this Mountain Drake. Looks like it's going over to Tilt Reboot card.
Yeah, but either way, we're just gonna have to see what things do finally turn into. I mean, we already know just how good Cassante can be at the later stages of the game, and it seems like Tilt are just trying to really get themselves into a position where you can slowly build up. But who cares about that? We're getting a full fight.
Pola's going all in with the damage of the Lucian Melio combo. They take down Measurable, and now Retail Row fighting back, keeping them interested as this Mist is going to show up. Nothing to come out of it. They do get the flash from the Lucian, but it is just a kill for Pola.
Yeah, just a straight up kill. Meanwhile, the flash in the mid lane from Saruman. And I don't really know how much value you're going to get out of this LeBlanc pick. It was blind and a very, very confident blind pick. But in the end, it's not really turning out to do so much, falling behind in the gold, falling behind in the CS, and falling behind in the trades despite picking up that Ignite. Either way, we're just going to have to see what things finally turn into. Look at that top lane right now. Espada getting close to being dove as far as the positioning is going, but let's not kid ourselves. It is still an Ornn in the end.
Yeah, if I know anything about this matchup, it's pretty easy for Ornn. Cassante just doesn't have the damage early to kill. And even later on, is Cassante really going to use everything to go for the Ornn? A lot of damage coming from Saruman here. Does not get a kill. Still, these mid laners are both deathless. Oh, I spoke too soon as Mist comes in. Flag and drag into the Cataclysm. Picks up the kill on the LeBlanc.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at this one more time. And I got to say, it's the classic adage when it comes to competitive play. This is comp. There is no such thing as a 1v1. Saruman able to burn the flash off of Jacob. And Jacob says, all right, well, I'm going back to lane. It'll be fine. And oh my god, there's a Jarvan with a helping box right on top of me. And Miss just gonna clear out that lane. Just gonna make sure that this is box even more useless. And now with essentially an impossible way to be relevant when you're down in gold, you don't have a way how to reliably wave clear, and one more of those kills just gets you that exact feat that TRC are looking for.
Yeah, I think the worst part about that is that Saruman didn't do anything wrong as Polo, once again, all-inning Measurable, but doesn't have quite the damage. Gonna go for Retail Row instead. Polo gets the kill. Jungler was there to shadow, and Doge are gonna get that and get out, or Get away with that easily.
Yeah, I mean, gonna be able to get out easily. Nothing too crazy going on just yet. Meanwhile, top lane, just the classic tank wet noodle fight. I mean, just hit after hit. Agu and Espada just trying to stack up those grass procs as much as possible. But nothing too crazy going on just yet here. So we've got 2 kills. So 2 kills. The Lucian, at the very least, still going to be able to pick up a lot of gold, a lot of that early priority, which is exactly what you expect from a Lucian, right? I mean, this is essentially a given where if you're picking Lucian, you're able to get yourself into a position where you should be winning lane. Like, there's so many lanes that Lucian will just auto win into. It's a matter of once you're out of lane, how do you keep this champion relevant? How do you actually put yourself in a position where you can take that lead and transition it across the entire map?
Yeah, when TRC rotated their bot lane up to contest the grubs, it just allowed for Pola and Frozen Bullet to kind of get a small advantage, but they're taking that small advantage and growing it to be a massive advantage. You have a 2-0 Lucian with first tower gold now. They completed they took down that entire bot lane turret. I mean, the gold difference on 80 carries has to be huge, despite first blood going over to measurable.
Yeah, has to be absolutely huge right now. But one big question here is what exactly is this, is this LeBlanc going to be doing in the later stages of the game? When you have the LeBlanc into a Talia, into a Lulu, right? There's so little that you're really going to anticipate this LeBlanc can actually do. And especially of all the 80 carries for her to look to pop, it's the Varus, right? One of those 80 carries that honestly doesn't feel bad about picking up. Okay, hold that thought.
Oh, wow. Well, that's what the LeBlanc's going to do. Apparently, it's just set up for Polo, who is looking to get their 3rd kill. A nice 3-man sleep by Rehurt. Going in a little too deep. Is Polo will survive thanks to the support. Good job, Frozen Bullet. And Doge is just going to look to take them all down under their own turrets. A 3-0 Lucian and a kill for that LeBlanc.
Yeah, a 3-0. Like, that's honestly so good for Dorado here. They're going to be able to pick up all the feats that they have been looking for. But let's look at this right now. So Jacob rooted up right there, not ready to put up that E, not ready to put himself into a position where he can actually survive. And Pola, on the other hand, with that added range from the Milio, just gonna walk on forward, get the damage going. The Whimsy just not enough, but one extra step forward means a root directly onto Pola. And despite the Varus ultimate getting burned, Milio means that this Lucian can do every which way he wants. I mean, it's exactly what I was talking about earlier, Metachef, where we're not sure how much the Lucian can do outside of lane, but at the very least, Milio is a band-aid to make it much easier to actually play the game.
Yeah, like you said, the extended range really helps Pola just stay in the fight. And I mean, we saw how broken the Emilio ult was there. Pola did go E in forward, like you said. Oh, this Lucian's going to E in and die. And they would have, but thanks to Emilio, Pola just picks up another kill and gets out safely. And right now, it just looks like it's Dorado's game. I mean, they have 3-kill advantage. They did pick up the feats of strength. And I guess it'll come down to this next dragon, because throughout all of that, it was TRC who picked up the next Drake, I believe, or they already had the first 2. Well, either way, it's going to be Doge that needs to start stacking some drags.
Yeah, needs to start stacking some drags, needs to start stacking some kills, needs to start stacking some paper, because that gold lead is slowly just building up over and over again. And you can see Dorado Gaming Epsilon putting themselves in a very good position. That is a very close to Infinity Edge Lucian. And while a lot of the time all this gold being placed onto a Lucian might be a little bit concerning, as far as Dorado are concerned, I honestly think that this is their best bet. There's not really any other champion that will be able to get off consistent damage in these fights.
Yeah, that Infinity Edge was actually picked up right after you said that. So
oh, Lord.
This is big Lucian. And, you know, the Ornn's doing fine as a CS advantage, but it's just permanently under turret. I'm excited to see what Agu can do, what they're going to bring to the fights. Assuming both Espada and Agu are going to have to join up here shortly. But no big objectives for a little bit. It looks like
Oh,
Dorado's
that's
going for the
illegal.
mid push. Retail row stepping up a little bit too close, but nothing to come of it.
Yeah, Retail Row walking up a little too close, knowing it's almost getting fully returned to sender, but in the end, the Lulu just going to be able to whimsy and waltz right on out of there. But right now, the big question is what exactly is the play on the map? Otacon is available, but Saruman going straight on in.
Gonna find some poke on Jacob. Ooh, the bowling ball from the Lilia does not hit. Maybe looking for an ulti here. Does have a two-man sleep, but it is all 5 members. I don't know if they have the vision for this. Here comes the call, the Forge God, and maybe this could be TRC's fight. A nice Melio ult to keep Dorado alive as the fight ensues. The Cassante is doing Cassante things. Pola is somehow in the middle of the entire team and goes down, but it does not matter as Rehurt and Agu are taking them all down. And Doge will almost ace. It's Espada flashing out at the end. We're going to need a replay on that, hopefully. I have no idea what's going on. They did not have the vision for that fight, but they do come out on top.
They absolutely did not. And you can see right here, Saruman walking up, knows that he's unseen by the enemy team, just gets the jump onto Jacob here, but not willing to go back to the pad. Instead, flashes on out to say, all right, you know what? I'm just going to wrap around again. It'll be fine. Start off with a 2-man sleep from Rehurt, but right here, that Ornn ulti just goes straight through and only hits 2 somehow. So despite the fact that all of this choke point looks so good for TRC, it ends up being Doge coming out on top. And in the end, Pola just left to auto again and again and again. Measurable almost turns it around, but steps up a little bit too close and not going to be able to get any closer to the sun. They're just going to drop straight into the ocean as the Baron is surely to have been dropped. No? Okay, so Baron's still not up, but it's the Otacon where they set their sights on, but it's actually TRC who are going for it.
Yeah, and Doge will be able to contest this as Rehurt and Saruman did pick off Jacob in bot lane, so Talia is down. This is going to be a 5-on-4 if Doge can get here. Starting off with Pola, going to use the Melio buffs and start off with the ult, the culling, as they're now going to have the combo, the Ornn ult into the Cataclysm. This could be bad for Doge. TRC wants to fight this. But now Saruman and Rehurt are here. Agu frontlining. Pola flashing forward for the kill. They'll take down 1, they'll take down 2, and they're looking to dive this as the sleep does land on the Ornn. Espada is still alive, but they do take down the backline. Jacob TPing into their death as Espada falls. Will be able to go 1-for-1 against Saruman, but this game is starting to look like a wrap as here is the first ace at 23 minutes.
Yeah, the first ace of the game, but it certainly will not be the last. That is a 15-5 kill lead here, but let's see this one more time. Agu just teleports straight into that top lane, but you're Cassante, you're tanky as hell, you're doing fine. Pola, on the other hand, just comes in with the culling, has so much of that extra range from the Melio, and despite the 3-man ulti from Miss, it's just not going to be enough there, as Pola still able to stay alive, still able to be a big threat. Flashes on forward, taking out Measurable, and at this point it's just a matter of cleaning on up. You cannot be teleporting reactively in this meta. Teleport so much slower, and Jacob just comes right on in to join the rest of the team in the grave.
Yeah, it's sort of a Hail Mary play for TRC to go for that Otacon as they lose their mid laner bot side. And Otacon's just too tanky. And it's, to me, like, the way we call it now is Otacon's always a throw. Don't touch that. Do not touch that objective. Let them touch it first. As Pola, again, another culling. I do love the way that this Lucian, Melio, they just start off with the ultimate. And it's doing so much damage. Pola's doing a great job this game. And I mean, you got to give props to the Melio, right? Frozen Bullets definitely putting in work as well. I think Doge is just going to pick up this dragon for free. They have that GA buff, temporary GA from the Otacon. And we'll see if well, I'm assuming we'll get another fight, maybe around the Baron.
Yeah, maybe around the Baron. I think it would be a little bit too risky for them to actually attempt the Baron itself. In the meantime, Agu just gonna, dance around this Rift Sculler with Miss. Nothing too crazy going on here. Just gonna be the classic clearing of both the jungle and the lanes. Pola and Co just gonna walk on straight down, taking as much jungle as they can as they continue towards this bot tower. I mean, I was criticizing the Lucian a lot early on, but in the end, it's exactly what we said when we were off cam for a little bit, meta shift. If Dorado managed to win this with this kind of a composition, it's just a hands diff. There's really nothing more to it.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I mean, they just blinded Lilia at the start. They get counterpicked, but Rehert's doing so much despite all that. I mean, again, they're just picking Lucian Melio, knowing that they're the better bot lane. I mean, that's what it says to me. If you pick something like that, you're saying I'm the better bot lane and I'm going to win. And that's exactly what's happening. Even this LeBlanc pick, which it's so terrible here. But Saruman's making it work, setting up plays 3-3, but just being kind of utility on this LeBlanc and setting up plays for the teammates.
The ulti? Okay.
All right. Well, it's just a bait.
I guess it's just to make sure that they have no chance of walking back into over there. But now they have the Otacon. They're just gonna start up that Baron. And honestly, I don't hate this. I think that you should just start up a fight. But
the steal, and it's Lucian who finishes it as Agu goes in. No steal. Doge does secure the Baron. Saruman going in. Retail Row getting down low. Agu has to flash out. And now Rehert in the front line without the Lilting Lullaby. Will have Azonias as Polo and Frozen Bullet are here. Can this Lucian and Melio do something? Saruman finds the pick over the wall onto Retail Row. It's 4-on-4 as Doge with Baron is pushing down mid. Mist gonna flag and drag away. Cooldowns are down. I mean, a lot of there's no ultimates available. Melio ult is still available. Saruman over the wall, gonna find some poke on Jacob. This poke LeBlanc is working out really well for them. And I think they're just gonna kind of lax here. Jacob's dead.
Oh my
Jacob
God.
is so dead. Why would we go there?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're walking on forward and you're trying to get just a ward over the wall. But Jacob, you've got blue trinket. There's nothing really to do. But Pola, on the other hand, has nothing.
Look at the size of those shields.
I was gonna say there's nothing for Jacob to do, but there's nothing more than Pola wants than kills, it seems. Literally flashes on forward and still not gonna get punished for it. I mean, in the end, Frozen Bullet on the Melio just gonna be doing just fine for that one. But I gotta say, Matashift, this is a statement game and a half.
Yeah, I mean, Melio still has ult. The Culling's back up. The Lilting Lullaby is back up. Doge is just staying on the map, and they're going to kill them again. I mean, they're just fighting again without leaving. They've never based, and they're going to almost ace them under turret, as they might just be able to end it here. They have the Baron push. They took 2 inhibs down now, and they're coming in 5-on-3. Jacob's the only one who can help defend this, and there's nothing you can do. This is also 5 grubs. Call the Forge God to maybe do something. Gets stunned up and can't even recast. Game 1 going over to Dorado Gaming Epsilon.
Yeah, and Dorado Gaming Epsilon, so much strength coming out from this team. So much individual play, honestly. And as we said before, right? If you manage to win a game with this kind of a composition, that is purely a hands diff. It is from start to finish a phenomenal performance from that bot lane. Pola and Frozen Bullet just doing so much work in all of these fights, and Agu and Rehert just building up so much space, gonna be able to buy so much space for their bot laners. In the meantime, Saruman, every single time that you've got that ulti off cooldown, it's just another pop, another chunk of health, and you can see it in the end with that damage to champions. That Lilia putting out quite a bit, but it's not like the LeBlanc and Lucian are slacking anytime soon. But in the end, game 1 had a little bit of difficulty getting into it and actually getting to see everything go on. What
didn't miss much.
We saw the important things out.
Yeah.
Honestly, the fact that we skipped 10 minutes in and still didn't have a single kill is kind of crazy.
Worked out for us. But yeah, I mean, we saw things from, Chilt Reboot card. TRC, Orin, J4, Talia. I'm hoping they come out with a less utility, less comp-related champs, and maybe they bring out their own hands, right? I mean, it's just Doge was out here. I keep calling him Doge. Dorado is out here, just showing them I'm gonna play these aggressive champs, and we're gonna body you guys. It's up to TRC to be all right, we have to respond accordingly. Let's let's pick stuff we can do damage on, win lanes on, and not get gapped on. So I'm excited for game 2.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You do like you do like crazy, oh oh crazy, oh oh crazy, crazy, oh crazy, oh oh crazy, 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 you do like crazy,
We are finally back with game 2 starting shortly on Meta Shift. Joining me is Anti. We got Dorado up 1-0 against TRC, Tilt Reboot card.
Yeah.
Solid first
I
game.
mean, not only is it Dorado up one game over TRC, so we didn't have the pro comps. We didn't exactly have a pro comps view over that one, but I gotta say, I think Dorado's composition was kind of really doggy doo-doo. I think it was really bad. And the fact that they won that one is honestly a testament to them actually just straight up being better. If you are TRC, you're going into this thinking to yourself, okay, well, we had such a good position. We had such a good draft. We had so many things in the right spots at the right time, but we still lost. And honestly, that's a really big question as to how do you mentally bounce back from that?
Yeah, it's like Dorado came in and they were like, "Oh, we're already up 2-0 in this scrim. Might as well try some stuff out and just kind of run whatever." And that wasn't the case at all, but that's what it looked like, and they won easily. So, like I said before, we cut to a break. I think DRC, they picked a bunch of utility champs, sort of just went with the average comp draft, which I like, but it didn't work out. I mean, you're going into a team that's playing super aggressive, has strong lanes, strong laners. It's time to put your money on the table and just pick what you're good at, something that's maybe not as conventional, not as like an average comp pick, and just send it. So anyway, let's go to the draft and see what they do.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what things do turn into. And I remember last time around, right? The Lilia was just first picked on blue side by Dorado, but this time around, we're not going to be seeing Dorado on the blue side. It's going to be on the red side. And one of the big things about blue side versus red side is a lot of the times, if you're on blue side, you get to just force a specific composition. You get to just make sure that you do what it is that you want, and your opponent has to play a lot more reactively. And last time around, we did actually get to see that, right? You know, TRC did have a very good reactive composition as far as the draft goes, right? There was the Varus Lulu, there was the Talia as the counter pick to LeBlanc, there was the, you know, standard tank top, you know, wet noodle fight, what have you, and Jarvan to make sure that Lilia didn't get to do what it is that she wanted. But now it is TRC who are going to be dictating the pace of the draft, and Dorado who are going to be the ones playing a more reactive choice. Now, with these champions off the table, what are you taking in blue one?
It looks like Dorado took Lilia B1 to just steal it from Mist, and that is if that's why it went that way, that's hilarious. This is not what's it called? Fearless, so we don't have to worry about that, I guess, or we do, as all the champions that were played game one are still available, hence the Lilia ban. So Dorado stole Lilia B1 game one, and now they're banning it away from TRC, so Mist does not get to play their Lilia if they wanted to.
Yeah, one thing I will also note though, right? So with the Jhin first pick, I will say, Jhin, phenomenal blind pick, right? Very solid, will be able to lane into just about anything. And it opens up your team for getting these counter picks into the other positions. Meanwhile, on the other side, Dorado have chosen the Udyr. Immediately, they say, all right, well, we see your Jhin. We know you have no tank busting just yet, so here is a tank of our own. The Kai'Sa allows you to dive straight into that back line. I'm sure that Loki's enjoying that pick right there. But on the other hand, TRC have picked themselves the Scar. That's a blind Nasus meta shift.
That could be Nasus mid into the Syndra. I don't know if that's a good matchup for the Nasus mid, but it could be.
But they're banning top laners.
Yeah, it might just be blind Nasus top. That's interesting.
That is a choice
ego,
that you
right?
can
Ego?
make. Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that is ego as hell. But
TRC is also banning tops. Is Nasus support? What's happening?
yeah, I don't know. Maybe the thing is, Nasus support into like Callista actually pretty dang nice. Into Jhin, not really. There's not really so much that you get out of that. But in the end, it is going to be that Nasus picked up blind, which does remove a lot of the flex capabilities of this draft. And the Renekton, okay, now we don't know where these champions are going, but what we do know is that we have hella meat shields that the Jhin will not be able to deal with. That was the singular issue that we mentioned with that Jhin first pick.
Yeah, I assume that's exactly what you meant when you say they first picked Jhin. Jin's a great blind pick, but if Dorado stacks a bunch of tanks and even bruisers. What does Jin really do? And now it just looks like TRC's comp might not be too good. I mean, they have a lot of utility frontline tankiness, but they're going into champs that don't really care for that. I mean, I don't know. The Jin backline is gonna struggle a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the big question is, what exactly do you have that can deal with tanks? The moment you lock into Syndra, Dorado say, oh, you don't have a tank buster. What if we just take 3 of them, right? And okay, there's no chance. Okay, that's not correct. It's not the Renata in the top lane. It is the Renekton. So that is 4 tanks, 3.5 really, if you want to count that Maokai. But you got that point and click CC, so that way that the Kai'Sa will be able to do just fine. You've got the Disengage King on that Maokai, going to be able to make sure that the Skarner and the Rakan aren't just going to go straight into that back line. And most importantly, you have way too much of that meatball composition for anyone to really peel away from that Syndra, from that Jhin.
I think this game just comes down to, can Jacob 1v9 on Syndra? We're going to need this Syndra, or TRC is going to need this Syndra to just kind of do all of the damage and take down all of these tanks, which means she only gets 1 ult. She's going to have to use her basic abilities to shred through all of these tanky players.
Yeah, I mean, this is...
You can put your trust in Jhin too, I don't know.
This is one of those moments where you look at this composition and you forget that the Jhin exists, and you're just like, okay, well, as Syndra, if you ult one of the frontliners early on to just get a bunch of dark spheres on the ground, you can just E straight through and scatter the weak, just get the stun off on everyone, which is great. But you still need a tank buster, right? Like, there's just so many questions that need answering here. And if it wasn't a Renekton pick, I would have said, all right, well, why don't you just go ahead and take a set pick here, right? But like, in the end, it is Dorado with meatball on meatball on meatball and 5 people stacked up in the spot lane.
Yeah, I was going to say, TRC's lanes might go well for them. I don't see any issues with the Syndra into the Nasus, the Cho'Gath into the Renekton, and even the Jhin Rakan. Like, they're going to be fine in their laning, which is why I thought maybe Dorado would look for an invade here, just because their level 1's not super terrible, and maybe they just want to get an early lead. It looks like Pola and Frozen Bullet might look for a cheese as Measurable and Retail Row join lane. But yeah, I think... can we get a reset on feats as well? But I think Dorado probably knows that they just win later in team fights and they outscale. Surprisingly, outscale. The HUD for the feats at the top. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, but one thing that I will also say, right? So they are looking to get themselves this early cheese. I don't really know how much early cheese you can actually get into a Jhin Rakan lane. Right? I think Frozen Bullet might have showed, so there goes the opportunity for that early cheese. I also think that that's an E start on the Maokai, so you really don't have much push in terms of these of this early laning phase. But in the meantime, Pola and Frozen Bullet just going to look to try to survive and try to get to the point where you can actually just dive straight onto this backline. Jhin, for all the struggles he does have against tanks, definitely does not struggle in the laning phase.
Yeah, I mean, we're panning back between bot and mid, and even though Dorado, they're feeling confident after game 1, we're seeing a lot of good first 30 seconds of the game for TRC here and mid and bot. And even top lane, Espada doing a good job of pulling this wave over, kind of holding it outside turret and not taking any damage from the level 2 Renekton. So can they go any further than the first 1 minute? Can we see it?
I mean, last time around there wasn't a single kill until 10 minutes into the game, but I would much like a little bit more action than that. In the meantime, we do have both of these junglers pathing towards the bot side. There's a little bit of this trading going on in top lane, but bot side and mid lane, nobody's really in any real danger right now. Udyr, on the other hand, just gonna be able to clear both that blue buff and that Grump very, very quickly. So I'm expecting to see the Udyr out onto the map first. The bot lane prio coming in from TRC though means that there really isn't so much that you're gonna be able to get in terms of the Scuttle Crab, but mid lane has to be careful.
Yeah, wow, I really like this play. We have Mist coming in for the gank and Retail Rose here. The stun lands, the knock-up lands. Saruman going down low and is not going to use the Ghost because they don't have Flash. They would have to Ghost away, but they are already cooked. First Blood going over to apparently Rakan, which is not great, but going over to TRC.
Yeah, not exactly ideal, but in the end, it's not like Nasus doesn't exactly scale, but TRC just going to be very, very happy about that position. Ooh, a little bit of the extra Q from Espada, and the Cho'Gath has to flash on out, not going to be going down just yet there, but that wave position is unbelievably awful for this Cho.
Yeah, bad wave up there in the top lane, but a good wave for TRC down here in the bot lane as Measurable is able to handle their own while Retail Row roams up to mid and is doing super well in the Jhin here in this bot lane matchup. Meanwhile, mid, just a little bit more poke. Jacob, also first strike on the Syndra. It's going to be free stacks, free money on the Nasus for the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stacks on stacks. That's pretty much all the name of the game here. But one thing I will also note, right? So Measurable doing fairly well in this bot lane as far as the health goes, as far as the trading goes. As far as the farm goes, it's actually pretty dang even. Really not so much that they're gaining off of Pola's Kaisa, but in the end, actually going to end up falling a little bit further behind. In the meantime, Rakan just gonna say a little hi to that mid lane tank question mark. I don't know. Like no flash in mid lane is very, very spooky.
Yeah, here it comes again. Oh, missed. Whiffs the charge there, the Skarner E. But that is the Ghost out of Saruman. And again, it's a nice coordinated play. I really like this from TRC. They're getting the jungle gank perfectly timed with the roam up from Retail Row. But it does leave Measurable as weak side Jhin. And yeah, they're going to go down a little bit of CS. Not going to be able to push the advantage. Not going to be able to push the lead that they've been able to get in bot just because TRC's game plan is to play around mid. Do you think they should be trying to play around mid? Do you think they should even be trying to like play super aggressive here in the early game?
I mean, honestly, as far as I'm considering things, I do think that ganking towards this mid lane is your actual only win condition, right? Because as we said, right, Jacob is really the only one that has any sort of opportunity to go in onto these tanks, to actually put a dent into these tanks' health bars. But right now, the Syndra not going to be far enough ahead to really turn that into a huge reality. So right now, they're looking at the dragon stacking, they're looking at the mid lane damage, but they're not really going to be looking at much more than that. Still not going to be able to kill with the unleashed power, but Jacob's not in a bad spot, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate playing around the Syndra. I think Syndra scales regardless, so maybe you would want the early game Jhin, but as long as the Jhin doesn't fall too far behind where they're just useless. I mean, the last thing you want is a utility Jhin who's only good for ulti slows and the W route. But they are able to pick up first Dragon. That's TRC picking up the Hextech Drake. Meanwhile, the 3 Grubs will go over to Dorado. We do have an engaged bot lane. Yeah, Frozen Bullet going in with the Twisted Advance. Measurable going about half HP. All these players down here, they're only level 5. No ultimates available yet. But that poke on Measurable is scary. If Pola and Frozen Bullet hit 6 here, this could be a dead Jhin.
Yeah, I mean, the poke is definitely scary, but it's more scary to see that your Jin's going to be burning that... Oh, hold on.
Yeah, it's going to be Agu face checking Mist, but it's Mist flashing away. The Renekton wants the 1v2, and Espada and Mist do not want it. I mean, this is a Cho'Gath with no mana. Meanwhile, bot lane maybe going a little too far forward. Pola and Frozen Bullet use all of their summoner spells, and now getting rooted up into a knockup from the Rakan. Retail Row will CC up. Measurable one more auto to find the kill, and now looking for maybe the double on Pola, but Pola does have the ultimate available shield. Probably does not have enough damage. Measurable, so they will back off. It is just a kill there. But bot lane's 2-0.
Yeah, I was about to say, right, measurable. Oh, hold on. We got a fight in the bot lane, actually, as that is the ult out from Pola. Like, blink and you'll miss it, but no
Flash
kill
available.
going in, but Feet of Warfare all in the bot lane as well.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't even have to play around your Jhin. Measurable will do it themselves. It's a 2-0 Jhin. Well played by Measurable and Retail Row. Retail Row kind of the MVP thus far, part of every single kill. And I like the way Measurable played that at the end. Had the fourth shot and saved that flash until the Q was up as well. And the Q fourth shot, a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, you can see right here is just that Q fourth shot that we were talking about. Measurable getting a decent bit of damage going, but right now, Frozen Bullet just walking up a little bit too far, hit with the grand entrance, and in the end, the Jhin just in the right spot at the right time, able to just output as much of this damage as possible. All 4 shots going wide, but Kodas just walks up a little bit too far, is what Polo was thinking, right?
It's
in the
what
end,
you would have thought.
yeah. The ambulance has been called, but it is not for this recon. I mean,
What's crazy is that
say?
that last trap in the tri-bush didn't hit, but Measurable's trap placement throughout that entire series of fighting there was immaculate. I mean, that's how they got the pick to begin with. Here we go, missed finding from behind the engage the gank on Saruman, but it's gonna be the turnaround, the Nasus ulti, and yup, that's just it. I mean, they don't have the damage to kill him. I mean, they don't die. But meanwhile, with all the pressure mid, Measurables getting dove in bot lane. A TP from Espada into the curtain call. Will they be able to keep them there long enough for Espada to find the engage?
That's all 4.
Mist and Retail Rower here. No flashes available for the bot lane of Doge, and this is going to be the 4th kill of the game, going over to Espada with the Cho'Gath ultimate. And this is that funky Cho'Gath build. Uh-oh. Jacob, maybe you don't want to face check the Renekton here, but can't get to the wave. Agu will zone Jacob off from that CS. That's really rough for Syndra.
Yeah, speaking of funky builds, I mean, it is going to be that Symbiotic Souls, Shirelia's, Halo Blades, Cho'Gath. But also, Metashift, that's a Lord Dominic's regards being bought by Measurable here. I think that's a little early.
Just starting it right off with the armor pen. Oh, I do think that is way too early. But as we see in mid lane, Saruman is almost unkillable already with just a little bit of HP stacked. This is a 3v3 at the Grubs. Flashing onto Jacob is Agu, but a nice Skarner ultimate, the Impale on 2, and it looks good for TRC as they're up 6-0, and Saruman's now on the run with no ultimate available. The kill being picked up by Mist. That's 3-0 Cho'Gath now. Espada so fed. I mean, that could be a win con in itself. An early lead for the Cho'Gath. They pick up one of the Grubs, which puts Doge at 5 of 6 Grubs. I think yet again.
Yeah,
I think they had 5 last game.
Yeah, if we take one more look at this one, right? So Espada just kind of playing a little bit of dance, saying, hey, look at me. I'm just very, very spooky over here. But in the meantime, the full start goes crazy as Espada, with the ultimate not being used, gonna be able to pick up a double kill, the triple kill, if I remember correctly, onto Saruman as well. And the ultimate comes in just in time to pick up that last Void Grub. This Cho'Gath is getting very, very large. That's a fully completed Shirelia's, and there's just something to be said about this one. I mean, I don't know if it's bullying, but you chose not to take flash, or you just kind of put yourself in this position. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think you pick Nasus mid into Skarner. Skarner's notorious for being the I'm going to gank mid on repeat, and if you don't have any mobility, you're gonna die on repeat. And that's kind of what's happening. I mean, Miss is doing a great job of abusing the Nasus mid pick.
Yeah, one thing I'll say, like, it's kind of like, sending your kid to school, but you gave them a really dopey name that that kids are gonna make fun of, Like, you just put yourself in this position. There's really not so much you can do about it.
I will say in the earlier fight, I thought it was the Skarner Impale on multiple members, but it's really Retail Row with the engages. And Retail Row, yet again, forcing Flash from Frozen Bullet. It's Codis, right? Codis is just absolutely dominating the map here. 106, part of every single kill as this roaming Rakan, and you couldn't ask for more.
Yeah,
It will
I
be
mean,
the Dragon.
yeah, it's going to turn into the full dragon, and this early lead is exactly what TRC need if they want to put themselves in a good position. Is this a kill? Okay, no, not quite going to be a kill just yet. Espada forced to run away here, but, you know, stunned up, almost certainly not going to be able to just walk out for free. Yeah, has to burn the flash. And in the end, you know, Dorado showing a few signs of life here, but they're definitely playing on that back foot already, almost 3,000 gold behind.
I mean, the game is still winnable for Dorado because of the way their champions just like outscale. But if they keep getting picked like this, I mean, Mist finds the pick onto Rehurt and Retail Row there yet again, just to be part of the 100% kill participation. Or Khan would never miss this play.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, they're getting gold into their tanks, into their one of the few champions that will be able to force some people into a side lane. The big question is, what are you going to do when these champions start to get really, really tanky, right? I mean, the Lord Dominus Regard's already finished for measurable, but regardless of how much armor pen you build, right? Regardless of whether or not you have yourself a Black Cleaver, Last Whisper, or pretty much anything under your belt, it's not really going to matter because the Jhin can't actually do so much here. But this is neither the Jhin nor a surviving crocodile. Aga just goes straight down.
Yeah.
Trellius goes crazy on this champ.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Mist and Espada didn't even hit their abilities, but it does not matter. It's just Shurelia's Hail Blades with the E, and yeah, Cho'Gath just melts that Renekton. Here's the full engage from Frozen Bullet. I'm not sure, like, what Dorado's bot lane like wants to do here. I mean, they look like they want to play aggressive, but then they have to back off because they're losing. I'm not sure, like, if they're just overconfident or what. But that's another wasted engage, wasted ability, and it's not looking good for them. They're definitely trying to just scale. They do have a CS lead, a pretty big CS lead, and Feats and First Tower go down.
Yeah, First Tower going to go over to the side of TRC once again, but in the end, Jacob forced to flash out, really not going to be able to do so much there. Saruman at least says, hey, I'm still a champion, you still have to worry about me. But the moment that ultimate runs on out, the Nasus returns to just living his best life, right? There's really not so much you can do on this champion yet. You really want to get into those mid-game fights, those, you know, mid-game skirmishes, but I don't know. This Cho'Gath's pretty dang huge. I can see the Dead Man's Plate in the Cho'Gath inventory, and I can see Expetu smiling from across the sea.
This is exactly what I wanted to see out of Espada. Had the weak side game one, just kind of sat there, got smacked around by a Cassante, but survived on the Ornn. Had some good Call of the Forge Gods, but it just didn't matter because the team was too far behind. But now we're picking something a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more self-sufficient, like the Cho'Gath, has the 4-0 advantage, is dominating the map. And this is what TRC needs, and this is what Espada needs. I mean, gotta have that mental break from whatever happened game one and come back with something like this. And as it stands, TRC is in the driver's seat, and they really need to, in my mind, secure Dragon Soul and not throw. One throw could be the end.
I mean, that being said, Metashift, right? It's pretty dang strange to say, oh yeah, you know, goes from the weak side pick with the Ornn to the much more aggressive pick, Cho'Gath.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a tank, but Cho'Gath's a different tank. I feel like Cho'Gath's the one that, like, I'm a tank, but I'm gonna, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, the thing is, I don't think that's true of Cho'Gath. Maybe of this kind of Cho'Gath. I mean, look at this. Espada just run into the mid lane. Everyone's in this mid lane. Full on party. No flash needed. No flash available for Saruman. It's still gonna bite him in the butt on repeat, but I mean, everyone really wants to pet the dog, and there's nothing that the dog can do about it.
Yeah, it's just another case of the Nasus mid getting abused. Retail Row, of course, trying to keep that kill participation up. It looks like Codis did miss one. Unfortunately, going to be 9 out of 10 now on the KP. I was keeping count, but yeah, TRC opens up the map a little bit more. They use the Rift Herald mid. They take down mid tier 1, so the only thing left is the bot tier 1, which I think Measurable is working on that one as we speak. Third dragon spawning in 10 seconds.
Yeah, and right now we're seeing another trap set by TRC here. I don't think they're really going to get so much out of it unless Pola in trouble.
Yeah, the engage from Codis into the 3-man panel. Look at that. Jacob trying to do the damage to follow up. Again, they don't really have it, but Espada shows up, one-shot somebody, and now it's just Agu and Pola, the last two left. At this point, Dorado might be giving up hope. Gonna get ran down. Agu waiting for cooldowns to try to flash out or something, dash out, and not gonna be able to get it. It is a 3-0 team fight in favor of TRC. They're up 13-0 in the game, and they're going to secure their third dragon.
Yeah, and let's just take a quick look at that one more time and watch as right here. So Pola walks up, says, hey, you know, Jacob, I want to get a little bit of a hit on you, but there's no E available for this Kaisa. The flash on out as everyone tries to stop the Kaisa from getting engaged on, but one ulti goes on through a 3-man impale. Not really going to be able to drag everyone to that bot lane, but here is Espada. And remember, Metashift, Agu's ulting here. This Renekton is actually using the Dominus. He looks so tiny in comparison to the monster that Espada has become. The Cho'Gath just unbelievably large in both stature and in priority for this game. Just 6-0 on the Cho and still able to run forward and do so much work with the team.
It's crazy that the 4K HP at 20-minute tank top laner is the one outputting the most damage, is the one that is the fastest in the game. It's a scary sight. I mean, this Cho'Gath's massive, and because of Espada, TRC can do whatever they want, as they did pick up that third dragon, and now they are working on the Otacon. All tier 1 turrets are down, so really their only objectives here are Otacon and maybe some tier 2s, but is Otacon a throw? Dorado, Epsilon here to potentially contest Otacon at 6K.
I mean, you still have Cho'Gath Ultimate available, so it's definitely not something that should be stealable, but right now, Dorado going on in. The tower's still there, though.
Nature's Grasp. Espada goes down half HP. It's a 3-man impale again into the Rakan engage as 2 gets melted immediately. Agu and Saruman in the front line. Saruman trying to do anything, and it was Otacon picked up by TRC, and the kills will be picked up as well as their perfect game remains 17-0, 3 dragons and the Otacon. Oh my god, it's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing that you could say is at least Dorado have 5 Void Grubs.
That's all they have.
An actual perfect game is genuinely so much more difficult to do nowadays that there has
to be I don't know. This has to be close. This has to be a perfect game, right? Like, in a way? Right now as we stand?
It's a pretty good game. It's 17-0. I think that TRC are very, very happy with the current state of the game. You have to be a little bit concerned about the idea of, well, what if, we don't finish the game immediately? But Espada has not a single concern in the world. Just walking on forward, has that Halo Blades, has all that damage, and has all of that health. Just an ridiculous amount of strength on this show, and Saruman, you can't be there, buddy.
No, you cannot. Retail Row with the knock-up, Jacob with the stun, and Espada with the feast. Gonna be 9-0 now on the Cho'Gath, and another stack to be even tankier, even bigger.
Can we get a stat count on Cho'Gath ultis? Like, what are we at right now?
When is he too big to walk through the jungle?
I don't know.
What is that? 6 + 6? That's 12?
Oh my
real?
god.
There's no way that's real.
I think that was.
Oh, it is 12. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That is so many.
That's quite a bit, but all right, there goes the perfect game. The tower does go down. And
Yeah.
TRC now, lamenting their loss as they walk forward to take the inhib at 23 minutes. A huge Cho'Gath in the way, making sure that there's literally nothing that can be done in response. And I don't know. It's times like this where you think to yourself, all right, what can this team do to get back into the game? But at this point, I think you honestly just kind of write it off. You just say, all right, well, we understand where we messed up. We understand that we got behind. Maybe we memed a little bit too hard in the draft, but at the very least, TRC very much going to be happy with how this one's going. So game number 3 is bound to be a banger. Unless we have something crazy happen. I don't know. Like, I'm not holding my breath. It's almost a 10k gold lead, but we have seen higher impact, returns from even worse positions.
Yeah, I do think, like, if the game wasn't so far gone, I would say at any moment Dorado could turn this around. It is a 2-item spike for the Kaisa, but I'm just looking at, there's like a 0% chance they successfully contest this dragon, and Cloud Soul is just so good for, specifically the Cho'Gath.
Skarner.
But also, yeah, Skarner lands the ult and fly away. Yeah, it's so good for their team. Even the kiting ability from the Syndra, right? Jacob can press ult just to run away. So I don't know. I don't know if they can, and they're giving it, like, they have to, right? So this is not their chance to contest. They're gonna say, let's flip a Baron, maybe, because with Cloud Soul and Baron, the game ends. There's
how much can you really flip? I think that Espada just ulties. I was gonna say Espada holds on to the ulti here and then just waltz it over to Baron, but I don't know. Like, who am I to give any sort of advice or orders to this monster of a top laner right now? 9-0-5, 25 minutes into the game here. The Shirellia is really the only offensive item for the Cho'Gath, but it seems to be doing work.
This is not what Dorado wants to do. It's going to be Agu getting caught out. It's a retail row knockup into a GNW from downtown, and Mist will pick up that kill. And now being 5-on-4 on the map, it should be a free Baron, as well as Dorado is sort of just kind of sitting here waiting for the game to end. They don't have a lot of options. They have 0 kills. They're behind in so much gold and about to be more. And how do they deal with the power of Cloud Soul and Baron buff?
Espada is bound to ult this one again. So, how many Cho stacks do we have? Usually we're looking at NASA stacks and being all scared, but this time it's Cho stacks. We're just like, all right, how much health did this person have?
14. What's that HP bar? 5.5k, almost
14.
5.6.
No demolish.
Demolish would one-shot the tower.
Demolish would one-shot a tower. It would actually be incredible.
Well, this it's 5,600 health on the Cho'Gath, right? Oh, big. So
5,595. So 5 away.
5 away from that. But it's a final push here for TRC. We'll see if Dorado has anything up their sleeves. Frozen Bullet will go in. They do land the engage, but now retail row finds the re-engage. Saruman is on the back line, but they don't have the damage. They don't have the gold, or maybe they do. Mist gets down low, but it's a nice re-engage from retail row. A nice big knock-up and the curtain call to finish them all off, as TRC was never in trouble here, and Espada is still 3,000 HP. No.
Oh my god.
2,000 HP. Measurable with the final kill to secure that ace, and it will be a 24-0 huge, massive stomp comeback here after losing game 1. Tilt Reboot card are bringing it to a game 3.
All right. No real fanfare over there. That was a slammer of a game. Nothing to really write home about except TRC. What the hell? All right, game number 3. We were just talking off stream just a little bit ago about how we pretty much always get 2-0s over here on on Conqueror, but
Wednesday nights, it's been a solid 2-0 streak until now.
That's definitely one way how to deal with a 2-0. right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna go into game 3, that is a statement game and a half. Game 1 was a statement game from Dorado. Game number 2, they just took that statement and threw it straight back at him.
Dorado said we were up 2-0 in the scrim. We were gonna troll game 3. Now we're up 3-0 in the scrim. We're gonna troll game 4. Maybe they're gonna pull together their actual draft here for this last game. But again, this is just a regular season match, and they were trying some stuff out. The Nasus mid did not work. Back to the drawing board, and I mean, just a solid performance from Tilt Reboot card. Can't count them out. They're a contender. They might be the best team if they beat Dorado tonight.
Maybe, but only time will tell. So don't go anywhere, because game number 1, game number 2, unbelievably solid performances from both of these teams. So game number 3, I don't really know who's going to come out on top. It might be Dorado that literally just goes back and forth, but that's a rough one to come back from.
Yeah, is Dorado done trolling, or will they come back here and will it be another steamroll and Dorado wins it? We'll see. But we'll be back, for game number 3. It's 1-1, all tied up.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a day with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the old well. Need 100 milli on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing cushion clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Hello, we are finally back with game number 3 coming soon. We have Dorado tied 1-1 against Tilt Reboot card. We did see an interesting draft from Dorado in game 1 and 2, and they were able to win one of those 2 games. But maybe maybe a little bit more standard of a draft here in game 3. And I mean, the talk is just Tilt Reboot card. I mean, absolutely destroyed them in game 2. It was crazy. I never expected it. It was a fantastic watch. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking we were going to get a quick 2-0, and instead we get a quick 27-0 from Tilt Reset card. Like, what the hell? Where was any of that in game number 1? It was an absolute slobber knocker from TRC in game number 2. Not a single kill given up. If you ignore the towers, if you ignore the Void Grubs, if you ignore anything that could keep it from being a perfect game, it was a perfect game.
Yeah. I mean, perfect games are not possible anymore, as they say. Maybe, but
I mean, it could happen. You have to be really, really good, though.
Yeah, you need like Pantheon and like Neela or Samira or something, and just I don't know, a bunch of early game champs and just roll it over. But for me, MVP, I mean, it may look like it was a spot of the Cho'Gath was nice, but that whole early game tempo was just set and paced by, I mean, I want to say Retail Row, but I also want to say Mist. Just the so coordinated TRC having the jungle gank and the support roam at the same exact time. Like, seeing that at this elo really makes me happy. It's like very, very like well coordinated. It has to be practiced or just well communicated in their voice comms. So good job, guys. I mean, props to you.
Yeah, and now that we're getting into game number 3, the big question is, what exactly are we going to be seeing between these 2 teams? Are we going to be seeing a much more standard draft coming in from Dorado in game 3, or do they double down and go for the 3rd non-standard draft in a row? As far as I'm concerned, meta shift, right? You're on blue side. You have the ability to force a specific kind of team composition, but right now, I think we might be getting a Lilia first pick, right? Like, Dorado just really, really, really does not want to be giving Mist this Lilia whatsoever, it seems, right? It's been banned every single time on the red side, and on the blue side, they first picked it in that first game, and it seemed to work out quite nicely for them. So TRC either have the option to take the Jarvan once again, which didn't quite work out that last time, or simply ban it away. But right now, you know, it's going to be the same 80 carries taken right off the table. The Jarvan
Lilia and Mel are up. Lilia and Mel are up. Both are up. Lilia and Mel.
Okay.
We might get game 3 Mel.
We might. No. Okay. So no Lilia. So we might end up getting Mel.
They have to be one Mel. They have to be one Mel. I think you have to.
I honestly don't know. Like, every single time that I do see the Mel, I think to myself, this champion's really, really good in terms of the numbers, but in terms of the actual gameplay, I feel like there's so many ways you can deal with her. Right now, especially since you have a Corki, I mean, it's very, very strange to see a Mel here, but there's that Skarner pickup. Once again, please, for the love of all things good and holy, Saruman, do not pick a champion without any sort of escape, and most importantly, take Flash, you know, for the love of all things good and holy. But, you know, who knows? Who am I to tell you how to live your life? Just go ahead, slam that Nasus mid once again. Who cares? Either way, Ezreal picked up here. Gwen blind, interestingly enough, so that might be in the jungle, might be top lane. You could honestly see it happen in the mid lane, especially if Saruman's the type of person to be picking that Nasus mid. But Nautilus really only goes in one position nowadays, unfortunately. I miss the days where you could play Nautilus in, you know, technically all 5 roles.
Nautilus
I mean, like,
lane. Oh my god, I was gonna say they picked the Gwen to deny that Cho'Gath pick, and I mean the spot just locks it in anyway. I don't know if that's a death sentence or not. That might be terrible. Like, they already have the Gwen counter to the Skarner a little bit, and now you're locking in Cho'Gath as well. This Gwen could go top or jungle and have like a sort of winning matchup. A little scary.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, this is definitely a very, very solid champion to have slotted in here. But now with the Silas takeaway, they're saying, all right, there's no shot that this is Gwen mid. We know this is either going to be into top or the jungle, which honestly makes a lot of sense. I would not be too surprised if it was, relegated to one of those two positions. But right now, with so many of these support takeaways, I think that Dorado say, we really don't care what you end up picking in the mid lane. We're not going to be looking for it at all. And that explains the Silas takeaway, right? You want to be able to pick up the Alistar. You want that point and click engage. You want it to be very, very simple, very, very easy. And with the Ornn pickup, it might end up being that Gwen mid I was talking about, but I would be hard pressed to see it blind.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be Gwen jungle. We get the okay, it's Corki mid apparently. That is crazy.
Okay.
We get an Ornn into Cho'Gath matchup, which is sort of favorable for Espada, where I thought this could get really dicey real quick. I guess maybe Agu doesn't play the Gwen, but yeah, no, this is just starting to look kind of like just a repeat for TRC, and I'm feeling a little confident with it. I really like that last pick support for Retail Row. Codis was a huge factor in setting them up to just absolutely snowball and dominate last game. I don't hate it. I mean, oh, wait. Where's Ornn? Oh, is it? What's that? Oh, is it Ornn? It's not Ornn jungle, though. It's still Gwen jungle, Ornn top, I think. So
Yeah. There's no shot that it's anything else. I was about to say, there is no way that we are going to have, the Skarner on both teams.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to cut to a little intermission, and then we'll be back with game number 3. It's all tied up 1-1. I'll see you guys there. All right, yeah, I got to grab my dog.
Hey, yo. All right, here we are on the Rift, and we've already got 5 people from Dorado scouting out this bot side, and Rosenbullet taking up the lead here, and that cow is in a lot of trouble. The flash already burned away. Retail Road not going to be having access to that crucial summer spell, but it's all good. We've got the Hex Flash still available on that cow, and I gotta say, Metashift, that's a lot of teleports.
Oh my god. Yes, it is. I'm really kind of confused. I guess Ezreal's like, we're not fighting this. We're not ever fighting Xayah Nautilus. Retail Row is going to be roaming again. Kind of already shows that with the teleport on the Ezreal. So Measurable's just perma weak side this game. Just gonna farm safely, try not to die, TP back when they get poked out. And I mean that just kind of like shows their cards early. Just,
Yeah, I mean, in the end, there's really nothing too crazy going on here. There's no flash on that Alistar, but there's that one little early trade, but you're not really going to get so much out of it onto the Ezreal.
yeah, the hook will land, but it's a little bit of poke. That's all.
Nope.
Well, we got the
Yeah,
double
but
screen going, but it's the same screen. I like it. The C2.
it's okay. We got
perspective,
winners
zoom in, zoom
POV and losers POV.
out. There we go.
All right, there we go. Ay, nako.
There it is. Very nice.
All right. Here we are. So, right now, we're just looking at these fights in the top lane. You know, Spada and Agu actually going a little bit crazy here.
Yeah,
You know,
Spada's in some trouble.
Yeah, that's the big thing about Cho'Gath, right? Is you're very, very early game. You do struggle a little bit, right? As long as you can hit the wave, you should be fine. At the very least, with Hail Blades, you are able to trade back. But trading back onto an orange is never really a good feeling.
Yeah, I do think Cho'Gath is just like, you have to survive the early levels. That's where he's super weak. Mana is a problem, and you're just so squishy. But if you do make it, I mean, we saw what happened last game. If you do make it past that weak early game, it gets scary real fast, especially with some early kills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but right now, looking at this top lane, I mean, Agu just farming up in a very good position. Honestly, nothing too crazy here, but the Hex Flash forward for Retail Road, just trying to get as much of this pressure in as possible. And despite that early flash burned, it really seems like there's nothing really gained on the side of Dorado.
Yeah, it's I like the way that Retail Row still like kind of goes aggressive there. They need to get that wave crash. They have minion advantage. They hit level 3 first. But in top lane, Espada might be able to get a solo kill. No, Agu's gonna be
Not
okay. But we do see the Cho'Gath starting to be on the come up in that lane, which is not good news for Agu.
Yeah, I mean, the moment that Cho'Gath hits around, let's say, level 5-ish, it genuinely becomes so much harder to kill the Cho'Gath, right? That passive just does so much work for allowing the Cho'Gath to stay as healthy as possible, and we've got that jungle support roam coming in once again. The Gwungle just forced to walk on out there, and Measurable still going to be able to get right away from that hook, but no way is he going to be anywhere close to this minion wave.
Luckily, it should bounce back. There was a different kind of roam we saw this time. Codus and Mist are looking for the invade roam instead of the 3-man collapse on Saruman. They do get the camp, I believe, but they're not going to get anything from Rehurt, and Rehurt's just going to continue to farm it up. Kind of playing the scaling Gwen here. Once this Gwen gets level 6 and first item, it's absolutely going to melt these tanks. I mean, it's triple tank once again for TRC. It's a perfect game for something like Gwen. TRC's really going to have to focus the Gwen down and try to one-shot it. I mean, Cho'Gath ult on Gwen might actually be like the savior of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Gwen, you know, one of those champions that just has so much DPS. The big question is, how much of it are you going to be able to output into a Cho'Gath? Like, Cho'Gath, as far as the laning phase goes, tends to be having a rough laning phase into Gwen, right? But as far as, you know, the team fights go, right? Cho'Gath, once he's able to get to a point where he's very tanky, he's able to survive past the initial, you know, early trades from the Gwen, just has to hit W and Q, and all of a sudden Gwen can't actually use her abilities, can't actually play the game, can't actually just be that DPS monster that we all know and maybe love her for. I don't know. It really depends on who you ask. But in the end, my big question is, once you get to these team fights, is Espada going to be able to just force the Gwen to try to take a much more conservative approach rather than just walking straight forward?
Right now, all I'm thinking about is the amount of like meme skins in the game. You got the toy Cho'Gath, the Choo Choo Ornn, and the Mukal Alistar. I'm not sure if it's just those three, but We just got a good pan of all three of these guys, and I love the skin choices for this game. Um, Dragon and Grubs are both up. It looks like TRC's more positioned for the Dragon, but Mist is going to be pathing into the Grubs here, and Rehurt might be looking to start them up. A roam timer here for the bot lane of Dorado. They might be able to go all the way up to the Grubs if they choose to.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely are choosing to do so, as Measurable just gonna stay in the spot lane, could opt to TP up if something super crazy happens, but with all of that priority, TRC are gonna be able to secure these grubs, especially with a Cho'Gath in bound. There's just really no shot of any sort of contest here, but you know, Dorado understand that, and they say, all right, well, we're just going to do the classic grub versus dragon trade. I mean, this is the reason why perfect games just aren't really a thing anymore, because it's not a matter of you playing better. It's a matter of your opponent needing to mess up, and neither of these teams going to be giving anything away for free.
Yeah, and it makes me think that maybe the issue is that grubs and dragons are like a little too squishy. Because like something like Otacon has, I mean, maybe like 3 times the health and resistances, it feels like. It takes forever.
I'm gonna be
but...
real with you. Like, Otacon is straight up harder to take than Baron.
Oh yeah, no, it's awful. It's the int objective. You want to do it when you want to lose the game. No,
The objective.
It's gotta be free, right? It's gotta be so free. You just ace them, it's free. Like, but
sometimes that's not even the truth, though.
no, because it takes so long. They could just respawn back.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure the statistics, but I'd love to know if pro teams are taking Barons before Otacon. You know what I mean? Just leaving the Otacon there.
I know at the very least in certain regions that a lot of the time they always just go for Otacon and then just force a fight around Baron, but who knows? Either way, once again, shades of game number 1. We're 8.5 minutes in, not a single kill. It's simply just going to be one dragon versus one set of void grubs. But this time around, it is in the opposite direction from what we saw last time. Last time it was TRC with the dragon and Dorado with the void grubs. But in the end, it's just farming after farming, and you know, both junglers just trying to be as useful as they can while not really doing much of anything.
Surprisingly, I feel like, yeah, both teams are playing to scale, and neither team really significantly outscales the other. I do think it's probably Ornn favored, so Dorado might outscale, which may mean that TRC is on a little bit of a timer, but more that they just want to find an advantage at some point. Maybe using the Alistar roams, but Alistar's in lane right now, and the all-in comes through. Depth charge onto Measurable. Flashing forward is Polo, who's going to get the first blood, but now in some trouble as Mist with another landed impale. A Skarner ult, perfect setup here for the return kill for Measurable. Both ADCs pick one up.
Yeah, both ADCs able to pick that one up. I will say, Jacob teleporting in is a little bit overzealous. Not really going to be able to get so much out of that. Just kind of TP in, say hello, steal a little bit of EXP, steal the entire wave from your AD carry. Nothing too crazy going on just yet. But let's take one quick look at this fight once again. The hook coming in from Frozen Bullet, and all of a sudden, the depth charge onto the Ezreal makes so much damage come on through onto the Mukau. But remember, this is the Noxus season. We are not caring about first bloods. It's all about the first 3 kills. No extra gold coming in from that one. And in the end, Measurable going to be donated a kill and put into a very good position, getting closer and closer to that Triforce.
What's crazy is we haven't seen much from Rehurt, and it's actually Mist who's up in CS. Like, the Skarner jungle is out farming the Gwen, which is not good, right? You have a farming Gwen jungle who's down in CS, and you have a Skarner jungle who's playing the map, getting the objectives, ganking lanes, and somehow in a lead. Same thing kind of like Jacob and Espada, both with a little bit of a CS lead. The only deficit would be Measurable in the bot lane, who is that weak side. So it's looking good for TRC right now. Yeah, it makes sense. It's looking good.
Yeah, looking good. Also going to be reflected on that scoreboard. About 400 gold ahead. Nothing insurmountable, but definitely a good position to find yourself in here, especially as Jacob has finished up that Blackfire torch. Void Grub's going to be spawning once again here, but with no jungler in the area for Dorado, it seems like the only thing that they have under their belt is the opportunity to dive. And I gotta say, I think it's a little bit of a mistake to look for a dive onto Alistar Ezreal, of all things, but I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
It looks like we're in game 3 going to get our first set of 6 grubs, and it's going to be on TRC, which is very surprising because it's been Dorado with back-to-back 5 grubs, I think, in game 1 and 2. And now it's going to be you know, tilt reboot card picking up the 6. They're going to get those 2 little grubbies every time they hit that turret. That's going to help them out with their push. Maybe demolish on the Cho'Gath this time? Probably not. I don't even think they go green tree, right? Not with that build, but
yeah, I mean, I will also say, right, it's very, very interesting to see this all happen. Like, I mean, you see the 6 void grubs, and all of a sudden TRC are 1 objective away from getting that feat. And Espada, I mean, you've got the ultimate available on the Cho'Gath very, very soon. It should make it next to impossible to actually steal this dragon away, and Dorado aren't even going to look to contest.
yeah, Espada does sacks a wave just to be down here. He's going to ult that dragon, feast it away, and TP back to top. Kind of the same story with Measurable. Took a recall, maybe sack some CS, but TP to the objective. So it's TRC committing all 5 members to the dragon to make it an easy secure, and they get a feast stack for the Cho'Gath. So I guess it's just 3 kills their first tower. We'll get feats for TRC.
Yeah, I mean, it's seemingly a very, very slow build-up for the side of TRC here. But in the end, I mean, that is a fully completed Shirelia's for Espada on the Cho'Gath. So we're going to be seeing a little bit of extra team fighting prowess coming in sooner rather than later. Also, the upgraded Symbiotic Souls always kind of, you know, get to me, right? That item is disgustingly good.
Yeah. So I play Quinn mid, and I do the disgusting symbiotic soul. Yeah, Souls Rush. It's very fun and very OP being able to just get back to lane. It's gonna be Saruman getting double ulted by Jacob and missed, and will eventually go down. Kill being picked up by Jacob. Missed, kind of holding that there for him. So finally, Jacob's on the scoreboard, which probably feels pretty nice for this Syndra with the 10 CS lead, as well as the fight ensues. Bot Pola getting headbutted into turret. But the knock-up stun did not follow, so Retail Row unable to really set that kill up. It's going to be Pola with the turn and getting that kill. Frozen Bullet will go down. Turret shot and a Q from the Ezreal and a Mastery Flash as Measurable eventually gets dove sort of by Gwen Needlework.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun stuff. That
just kind of dashes on in, but we'll check out the replay in just a bit as we're getting a full-on dive in that top lane. But okay, it just gets fully disengaged, so nothing too crazy. All right, you know, just pulled the trigger a little bit too early there. Nothing to worry about. But all right, let's look at that replay.
Let's check it out. What happened? Yeah.
So depth charge onto Measurable once again. I mean, that's the classic on the Ezreal. You manage to get hooked one time, and enemy support just decides I'm dumping literally everything and the kitchen sink directly on top of you. In the meanwhile, Pola walks up a little bit too far, and unfortunate for Retail Row, can't get the Q flash. Instead knocks up the Nautilus, but flashes a little bit too late. In the meantime, Frozen Bullet flashes forward, still not really going to be able to do so much there, and the Mystic Shot right at the very end as the Aftershock falls off, gonna be able to claim that feat of warfare. And it was just a little bit of an overstep from Frozen Bullet. It looked so good, but it's not gonna mean much in the end.
It looks like we didn't miss much. We do have an engage on the Retail Row here, but Mist putting that pressure top lane means Espada's getting a lot of damage on that turret. But Mist goes in, impales Frozen Bullet. Jacob's here on the rotation. A double stun from Syndra, and the damage to follow. The ulti from Measurable will pick up that kill, and now Pola under turret without the ulti. Well, it's actually coming up soon. And I guess TRC will call that one off. It's actually a really smart to call that off because Featherstorm was back up.
And, I mean, Featherstorm was, as we know, Featherstorm was back up, but as TRC knows, Storm was coming back up. So you play it safe, you understand, all right, well, we can't really do so much here. And I gotta say, don't get me wrong, I think that as far as these players are playing, it's definitely in the right position. That is a lot of miscues from Measurable. I'm not really too sure how much power this Ezreal is going to have, but we do have a little bit of a scuffle in the top lane.
Yeah, Agu with the all-in on Espada. Rehurt charging up the needlework, trying to get a kill.
Oh.
Actually lands the second R2 there to find the kill on Espada. Well played by Rehurt. A 2-0 Gwen jungle who is pretty farmed up at this point. And that's gonna put Dorado in this game for sure, as they're looking to pick up Rift Herald.
Yeah, 100% looking to pick up this Rift Herald, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get it. I mean, Skarner can just dash on in and maybe look for an ulti proc, but I don't think that they're really looking to hard commit to this one. They're just going to be sitting at 2 stacks apiece on that feat, but in the
first
end,
tower actually went down bot lane, so
yeah, I was about to say, in the end, it doesn't matter so much if you're looking at feats, but all that being said, I've said it time and time again, feats are massively overrated by so many people. I think that if you're in a position where you can consistently get all the feats, you probably are already in a winning position rather than the feats themselves putting you in that winning position.
Yeah. And I agree, and I think TRC was in a winning position, but this game's too close, and Dorado actually takes a gold lead here and finds an engage onto Jacob, and Jacob will flash, but will get one shot. It's Rehurt with the 3rd kill, a 3-0 Gwen who picked up a full Riftmaker in the last back. Oh my god, this is a 2-1 Gwen. What? Where did they get all that gold?
I don't know. In the end, that's really just all about the junglers, right? So much gold that they end up just sitting on. But let's look at this one more time. The dredge line, the depth charge, and the yoink on the shutdown for Rehurt there. But right now, we're just gonna have to see what exactly this turns into. I mean, this magical footwear, this Riftmaker, that's Nashor's Tooth. I'm not the hugest fan of Riftmaker Gwen a lot of the time, because Riftmaker is just not the same item that it used to be for her. But in this kind of a composition, in this kind of a game, you are looking to fight for absolutely forever. So it's not like I can really complain about it in any which way.
She's able to stack it well, and also it is CDR and some tankiness, but I mean, the true item spike for Gwen, because I play a lot of Gwen jungle, is Rabadons. I mean, if you're able to just get a Rabadons in, like whether it's 2nd or 3rd item, once you have Rabadons, you basically win the game. Cosmic Drive's also a good item. But I'm really just looking at, like, what does TRC have to shut down Gwen? They really need a Spada to maybe be in there and, not get one shot, because tanks don't do well into Gwen, but just land that ulti on Gwen and hopefully they can burst Rehurt down. But from the side of Dorado, I mean, it's just their game. I think Rehurt can take over and secure this victory and secure this full match win.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we're just gonna take a quick look at where Gwen got all this gold. I mean, if you look into that bot lane, right, that was the moment that the Feat of Warfare went through the shutdown with just that one little ulti proc and just walk away.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was that was the 3-0 Ezreal that was shut down.
Yeah,
and she sat on that gold. The Gwen, she sat on that gold for so long, and that's why we saw the full Riftmaker being bought, because she also got the kill. He got the kill topside. But
I mean, I gotta say, right? Gwen sitting on that much gold for that. Okay, you can't stop the Ornn from taking the tower there. But the question is, can Espada actually punish it? And doesn't really look like it is. Ornn, one of those tanks that does exceedingly well into other tanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think Ornn's a really good pick there to kind of just nullify the Cho'Gath lane. I thought maybe they would throw Gwen into it to not nullify, but just destroy the Cho'Gath lane. But I guess it's still sort of like a flippy thing. I mean, Gwen's early game and laning phase against the Hail of Blades Cho'Gath might not actually win. But I do like the way this is playing out for Dorado. I think they're starting to feel more confident. Where Tilt Reboot card, they might be a little concerned. I mean, they have 6 grubs. They still have some of these like picks that they won on. They have the Skarner, the Cho'Gath, the Syndra, so they're confident in that regard. But the game state doesn't quite feel great, right? I'm sure they're feeling that pressure of, oh man, maybe we're on a timer because they scale really well and we're currently losing.
Yeah, I mean, that timer is stressful as hell. As you can see, Dorado right now just getting slowly pushed out of their own jungle. That Otacon is still very, very imposing in that top lane. But even with that Cho ulti available, I genuinely don't think that there's a single world where TRC are still looking to take that Otacon this early on. In the meantime, diving in Ornn is not what you would usually expect to be on the menu.
Multiple members for Dorado are running over. Can they kill this Ornn fast enough before the Gwen shows up and kills them all? Call of the Forge God comes in, but it's stopped by the Impale, or sort of. But now here comes Rehurt, and this is disastrous if Mist can't get away. He's going to flash. A 3-man stun by the Syndra helps keep them alive. Oh, and TRC is going to engage on the backline, but Rehurt is still alive and still going. They're able to pick up the kill on the Nautilus as Frozen Bullet goes down, and it looks like the 4-man of Dorado will take that pick and leave. It's a support trade for the enemy jungler, and maybe they just want to reset and have Prio on Dragon. Rehurt 4-0.
Yeah, Rehurt might be 4-0, but with Dragon spawning in 6 seconds, the big question is the Gwen going to be able to be there to pressure it in time? Instead, locked into that mid lane, locked into that wave clear, 6 Void Grubs really paying off dividends for the side of TRC. And Metashift, we should never have said anything about 2 games. It's just, it's absolutely looking to be a banger as the set continues.
Yeah, I think these teams are well, like, evenly matched, and that's great, right? For like competitive amateur leagues, we love to see it. I love the way this game's going. I love the back-to-back stomps too. It was good content, but I want to see how this dragon fight goes as we are 5-on-5 here. This could honestly be deciding the game. Frozen Bullet, the first to get engaged on. It's going to be a lot of damage coming in from Espada, but Espada chooses to feast on but Rehurt goes down. The Impale was enough as TRC takes down Rehurt, and that's all they need to continue to win this fight. Mexico does a nice shift to dodge Pola's Featherstorm Blade Caller, and it's a 5 men are still alive. They take down 3. Oh my god, it's a 3-man wipe. Pretty good stuff, and they should get the dragon.
Yeah, and in the end, Rehurt goes down. The Blade Caller from Pola as well tries to bring it all together, but no one's on the phone except TRC. They're looking to end the undefeated streak of Dorado. They're looking to end the dominance that we've seen from this team time and time again. And let's look at this one more time where Frozen Bullet walking up in the front is in what looks to be a good position here, but one engage onto the Nautilus, and all of a sudden, you know, no one is going to be able to help Rehurt out whatsoever. And one suppression means a ton of damage. That W wasn't up to save Rehurt at all. In the meantime, the flash forward to try to get some kind of trade kill, just not going to be able to do anything. The shutdown going over to Espada, and we've already seen just how much this Cho'Gath can do with a bit of extra gold.
Yeah, I mean, you're a fan of Skarner, even post all these nerfs. How broken is Skarner there in that fight? Gwen doesn't even get to play. And here we might have another 5v5. Agu might just throw a little bit with the TP into all 5. The Ornn goes down, and then Impale whiffs. Impale whiffs, and Rehurt's going to return some damage here. But, oh my god, without any teammates, I don't know how this is possible. Everybody gets wiped. Rehurt gets stunned up by the Syndra, does dash out over the wall, but is now going to be caught into a 1v5 scenario. And they're like, where did this Gwen go? But we will find him as Rehurt tries to maybe take down Mist before inevitably falling. And it is a 5-0. It's an ace, and TRC can pick up the Baron, the Otacon, whatever they want here.
Yeah, everything that they could desire. But look at that. The TP in 1v5 from Agu. Usually, when you're playing Ornn, it's not really a big issue. But then you're knocked up airborne, you're stunned, the Call of the Forge God goes completely wide, and nobody's answering that call. Gwen is immune at the very least, and at the beginning of this fight, it looks like Rehurt can actually put out a little bit of the damage needed, but you don't have your Q stacked up, you don't have your ulti procs whatsoever, and this is just way too much of an overcommit to a fight that is so far gone. And the CC just again and again and again coming in from Jacob, from Espada, from Mist, from Retail Road, literally everyone except the Ezreal, and it's just unbelievably difficult to play.
Yeah, there was a great two-man re-engage from Retail Row onto the back line of Dorado there, and what I mean, also the biggest thing is that Featherstorm was down, so like Pola stepped up too far without ulti, without the button that Xayah needs to play the fight, and yeah, that fight was never winnable, and they probably didn't need to take it, shouldn't have taken it. And this just puts them in a very game-losing spot, as they are going to Hail Mary it with Call of the Forge God mid. They have the engage on Mist. Mist will go down, but Rehurt also falls again. And without Rehurt, I don't know if Dorado can win a fight. Espada's coming from the flank in the back line. Will one-shot Pola, and now the fight ensues, and TRC wipes the floor. It's Sourman, who just seemingly is so useless, gets stunned up. A nice engage by Retail Row, the follow-up CC by Jacob. TRC does a great job of layering their spells. Agu, the last one standing, will inevitably fall. They did pick up the Baron before this, but I think they're just going to go with the push. Otacon is an option. Dragon not for a minute 30.
I mean, this is just a classic case of your team's tank, by the way, versus the enemy team's tank, by the way, where Agu just kind of walks up, still gets melted by the entirety of TRC. Meanwhile, Espada walks up, one-shots the AD carry, and continues to tank everything and the kitchen sink. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous how much tankiness they have under their belt. And then you think to yourself, oh, well, you know, it's fine. At the very least, it's not like they have anything that could make them more tanky, like the Mountain Soul coming up in under a minute. But in the meantime, it's going to be everyone going over to Otacon just to make sure that that Mountain Soul fight will be very, very free.
I do respect Dorado's, I guess, like, I don't know what do you want to call it, moxie, whatever. Like they're just trying to come back, right? Like they know, they had like this Fed Gwen. This is a 3-item Gwen. I hate Shadow Flame here, but it's a 3-item Gwen, and
I don't know.
I thought.
So I think Shadow Flame's incredible as a second item. If you're building Riftmaker, Shadow Flame doesn't really have a place here in comparison to Deathcap.
Rabadon's every time. Oh, but it will be Pola getting stunned up by Jacob, and then Mist goes in just to force the Blade Caller. So once again, if Dorado comes into this fight, which they have to, it is Dragon Soul, their Xayah will not have ult, and that is not good, as the engage from Mist, the Flash Impale that goes wide. Here comes Call of the Forge God, but Rehurt's in a bad spot, and the two-man fight off to the right is going well, but the withdrawals are available from the Otacon. Oh my god, Jacob's doing so much damage. Espada flashes for the feast, and now TRC doesn't even need to use their temporary GAs. They could just find all of these kills. Rehurt gonna contest their Dragon Soul, but as multiple members are TPing in for the end, TRC's looking to take the win right here, right now.
Soul for Nexus, the classic TSM trade, but this ain't TSM, this is TRC going to be taking down the undefeated Dorado Gaming Epsilon, and just like that, Tilt Reboot card going to put a stop to that continuing conquest. And I gotta say, Espada's Cho'Gath cannot be let through that simply.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone else is feeling this way, but I might want to go play some Cho'Gath. Like, that looks fun. It looks good. It looks fun. Look at the damage.
Hail Blades, by the way.
Hail Blades, by the way. I want to say Espada's the MVP, but I I want to give it to the support, man. Retail Row played a phenomenal game. I think besides that one play in bot lane that was completely mechanically botched, which I'm gonna call you out for because why not? Besides that, everything was phenomenal. Codis, MVP in my heart of the series.
It's just a mistiming on the root. You know, you get hooked, you get autoed by Nautilus, and it's like, okay, I'm sure it doesn't last that long, but we all know Nautilus CC lasts longer than any of us want it to.
Yeah, other things, I mean, Syndra still confirmed broken, Skarner still confirmed really good. I think TRC, like, they saw what worked in game 2, they come into game 3, they do a repeat, and it worked really well yet again. Man, I don't, is Zaya's like a bad champion now? Is Corki bad now? Like, is Corki nerfed?
I don't know. I think Xayah is a perfectly fine and serviceable champion. It's just a matter of that game felt a little bit unplayable. I don't think that Xayah was the right choice in that particular opportunity because so much of what Xayah does is make sure to avoid dive. Meanwhile, that team doesn't exactly dive onto you with an unreactable dash in the same way that Xayah is very, very good at dealing. Like, if that's Rengar, if that's LeBlanc, sure, go ahead, take the Xayah. But in something like that, I don't know. You have Sivir. Like, Sivir's particularly nice.
If I'm correct, Xayah is notoriously bad into Ezreal, but also into Syndra. Those are really bad matchups for Xayah. Like, when you're like ADC versus other damage dealers, it's not good.
Yeah, particular thing about the Xayah interactions is that if you do end up, you know, using your ult to survive against that Syndra ulti, there's still a bunch of spheres on the ground. She can still hit you with Shatter of the Weak. Like, there's so little that you can do against Syndra. She has that outplay button, but she's got layers to the outplay. But either way, we've got layers to this series, and thank you all for tuning in all the way through game 3, where we saw TRC take that win over the no longer undefeated Dorado Gaming Epsilon.
Everybody.